This bird is 74, and she did the impossible. She outlived the man who banded her, then hatched another egg. Wild realms, where the oldest creatures teach us to age without fear. Her name is Wisdom, the oldest wild bird known to science. In the next 15 minutes, 7 decades, 3 million miles of ocean. The night the sea swallowed her island, and the loss of her mate. And past 70, she becomes a mother, and a grandmother. No wild bird has lived longer. Stay for a story that will change you. Her long life begins far out at sea. She's built for the wind. Wings near 2 meters lock open and barely beat for hours. She rides the wind, skimming the waves, dynamic, soaring. A sheet of tendon locks her wing. Gliding costs her almost nothing. 300-400 miles in a day, almost without a wing beat. 3 million miles. 6 round trips to the moon. A young albatross fledges, lifts off, and flies out to sea, and won't touch land for years. 3 or 4, even 5. The open ocean is the only home it knows. Tiny, under a sky without end. Only once grown does it turn back to the island where it hatched. And there, a young albatross has everything still to learn. The courtship is a dance, and it takes years to get right. Young birds gather in 2s and 3s to practice. Bills clacking, wings wide, heads to the sky, clumsy at first. Most won't raise a single chick until they're 8 or 9. A long apprenticeship for a very long life. Wisdom learned this dance more than 70 years ago. On Midway, she became the rarest thing, one that always comes back. In December 1956, a young scientist knelt by a nesting albatross. He fixed a small metal band to her leg, Z333. He had no idea she would outlive him. Saltwater eats aluminium. Her band has been replaced several times over the years. In 2002, he returned to Midway and caught her again, by chance. The number gave it away. The same bird, decades on. That was the moment the world learned how far back she went. He lived to 98, and passed in 2017. She is still here, still landing on the same patch of sand. For most of her life, Wisdom wasn't alone. Albatross choose one partner and keep them for life. For years, hers was a mate named Kuaihelani. Every season, the same ritual, the dance, and one egg. One egg a year, never more. 65 days they take turns, through wind and salt, and raise one chick, then do it all again. Across the decades, more than 30 chicks. Generation after generation, from one patch of sand. And many of those chicks grew up to nest here too. It was a life that looked like it would never end. Then one winter she came back to the island, and he didn't. She waited at the same patch of ground they always shared. He never returned, and for a bird like her, that's the end. No partner, no egg. The seasons turned. The young birds peered off around her. Season after season, her nest stayed empty. At her age, the story should have been finished. But this was not the first time the island tried to take everything. Years before, far out at sea, the ocean floor tore open. That night, the sea itself came for Midway, wave after wave. Whole stretches of the island vanished under the water. That brutal season of storms took more than 100,000 chicks. But Wisdom's corner, behind a low dune, held. And days later, she came back to her chick, alive. So losing a mate was not the first ending she had refused. Wisdom did what the textbooks barely allow. She began to dance again. The same dance she had known for 70 years. One by one she met the others, testing, choosing. And a younger male, banded EX25, danced back. A bird that mates for life, choosing again at 74. It almost never happens. She made it happen. They clacked their bills. They pointed to the sky together. A new bond, a second chapter a long life rarely gets. And then she went home. To the exact patch of sand she's used for 70 years. The same scrape, season after season, decade after decade. And there she laid a single egg. Then the two of them began to take turns. One stays on the egg. The other flies hundreds of miles for food. 65 days, through wind, rain, and salt. A bird past 70, keeping one egg warm against the Pacific. If you're still here, this is your story too. Subscribe. Then, on the 30th of January, the egg moved. A crack, a tiny bill, the first breath. At 74, Wisdom was a mother again. A new life on the oldest wings on Earth. And this was not her only living legacy. Remember the chick that survived the sea behind the dune? That chick grew up, came back, and raised a chick of its own. Which makes Wisdom rarer still, a grandmother. Her bloodline, across the island she never left. Nature isn't gentle with the young. Not every chick gets a long life. But the wonder was never whether one chick would survive. It was that she came back at all and refused the ending. Mates outlived, her band are gone, and still she returns. Her life says what we most need to hear. It's not too late. There is still new life in you to give. Every year they think it is her last. Every year she comes back and begins again. From one small patch of sand on the oldest wings in the world. If she moved you, like and subscribe for the next great life.